they're going to rule the day. She's going to rule the day. He's going to rule the day. He's going to rule the day, that they said those things about me.
It's a numbers game, and you're going to identify the people that right away, like you said, the willing. Hey, I got a launch party. Hey, I got this. I got a client, right? You right away see what's happening. But when you want to get, you want to get 2 or 3 people, and you try to coddle them, right, and help them succeed. I learned from a mentor. He always said, don't try to motivate people. Find motivated people.
It was a coach clutch. All I could afford was $167. That was a lot of money for me. She looked at it and said, oh, thanks. And then I was like, I thought you liked Coach. Why are you not more excited, right? She goes, oh, it's because I don't have a bag to go with it. Apparently, you should have a bag to go with it that's the same brand or same design, right? And I remember thinking, you ungrateful.
An elite NYPD narcotics detective who built multi-million-dollar sales organizations. A world champion martial artist turned empire builder. 2 men, 1 obsession. This is the Ownership Empire Podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to the Ownership Empire Podcast. Another great week, another great episode. Very excited to have a very special guest, who's also my co-host. But today, Jay, I want you to be a guest, please, if that's okay with you. We'd like to know.
Absolutely, my friend. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. We thought about it. So I got to get you to tell a little bit about your story, your journey through the industry. And I've been waiting for this episode. I know a lot of people are also. So, yeah, let's kick it off, man. Let's get right to it. What really caused you to get into specifically the network marketing industry? Like what was it going on in your brain? What happened? What were the conditions that got you to get into the industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, it started when I was 18. First of all, it goes back actually. When I was 10 years old, my mom, I told my story on a podcast before. I won't get into that detail, but my mom, I grew up in an environment where one mom, single mom, was raising 3, 4, 5 kids. In our case, 3 kids, 3 boys. And when those kids get older, they can't retire one single mom, right? And so I was in a position where at 10 years old, my mom used to get out of work. She used to leave early in the morning to the garbage district, come back by 6 or 7 p.m. and still go to meetings. She used to go to Herbalife meetings, Shackley. Remember Shackley?
Yeah, right.
She used to sell air filters through an MLM that sold air filters. At one point, we had our little apartment with, like a studio filled with air filters. So I used to go to these meetings with my mom. And back then, there was no whiteboards or PowerPoints. It was chalkboards. I remember they used to draw circles on a chalkboard. And I was in the back as a 10 or 11-year-old drawing cartoon characters, and my mom was drawing circles on a chalkboard. So I asked my mom one day, I said, Mom, why do you do these businesses? Because I saw that she had a job, and additionally, she did other stuff, right? And she says, well, son, if I want to give you and your brothers the life that I want to give you, it's not going to happen by working for somebody else. So when I turned 18 years old, I've told this story before as well. Couldn't get it because I was born in Mexico. I didn't have a social security number, so I couldn't get a job. I couldn't go to school, right? So with that being said, I was in a really tough situation where I was trying to go to school and I was trying to do what everybody told me that I was always supposed to do. And but they say you can't get a job because you don't have a social security number. You can't get student loans, which all my friends were getting them. You got to pay for everything. I said, how can I pay for them if I can't get a job, right? So a friend of mine said, you got to go to the military. Long story short, I go to the Marine Corps station. They weren't going to help me until they found out I couldn't qualify. I didn't have a social. They said, we used to be able to help people in your situation before, not anymore. That was 2 weeks after 9/11, by the way. I was signing up to be a Marine 2 weeks after the Twin Towers went down. So a friend of mine, Robert Vasquez, who, by the way, shout out to Robert Vasquez. He's in the business with me. He's my customer. I sold him solar in my solar days. I sold him life insurance here, and he just got promoted to the first rank. He was here yesterday, right here, matter of fact, in this couch. Wow. We had a business meeting here, and he recruited his first person. He did network marketing in 2001, never did it again. So he's doing a team building business today for the first time. So I got started at the age of 18. My friend Robert got me started. In that first company, I made $60 in my first 6 months. So the company only lasted 6 months. I made $60, right? So you imagine that's $10 a month on average, but it was a one-time $60 check because I recruited one guy. It completed a binary cycle, and that paid me, $60. And that company was called 2x2.net. I didn't start making any money until I joined Legal Shield. Back then it was called Prepaid Legal. Great company, by the way. I've got a lot of fond memories of Legal Shield. And I started making $2-3 grand a month with Legal Shield. Again, prepaid legal back in the days. My buddy Sean Michael, shout out to Sean Michael. And I built a pretty big team there. And the reason why I left, I was actually just shy of executive director in Legal Shield. So early 20s, in the early 2000s, I was in a point where making $2-3 grand a month wasn't that bad, and I was on my way. I'm on my way. But then I got introduced to real estate. So I worked for a company that did real estate and loans and real estate, both. I don't think you're supposed to do that, but I don't know if you can or not. But so I got a client to refinance, and then I got a listing, 2 different clients, and I made like $12,000 between the 2 of them. And I remember thinking, whoa, this is a lot of money. And somebody introduced me to Keller Williams and said, what you do with network marketing, Keller Williams does that too. You can build a downline. And I'm like, what? So I got distracted. I went into Keller Williams, and that's the reason why I stopped Legal Shield. I did that until the market crashed in 2008, and I got back into network marketing, and the rest is history. That's when I became a 6-figure earner in 2009 or 2010. I became a 6-figure earner, multiple 6-figure earner, and eventually a 7-figure earner. So that's the story.
How many companies, ballpark, did you participate in? I think you told me it's quite a few, right?
Yeah. So during that time, right, when I barely got started, I joined a couple of companies that failed and whatnot, right? But shit, bro, it's probably been about 10 companies since I started, right? Over the course of 25 years now, I remember at one point, bro, I was working for a company called it doesn't exist anymore, so I can mention it. It was called Magic Power Coffee. It was an aphrodisiac coffee, bro. It was like a Viagra coffee. You believe that? So, bro, I didn't even know. I was a young kid in my 20s trying to figure it out and whatnot. And I think I did that when I was still in real estate. I was dabbling in some companies, but didn't take anything serious, when I think back, I'm like, what it is to not have guidance, what it is to not have a mentor. And back then, channels like this didn't exist, right? Where you could really educate yourself. And, some of the decisions I made, like all of us, I'm sure, some really bad decisions.
But, you gained experience, right? You probably, like myself, right? You got into the understanding of overrides, right? You like overrides, you like team building, because that's what team building is all about, right? It's about helping other people succeed. Sometimes I say overrides too much, but it's really about, if I help you succeed, I succeed, we win together. That's really what, the industry, the pure part of the industry is. So then how long did it take you to start making some real money? So the audience can hear, what? Like 6 figures is usually right where people say, okay, you know what? I'm making some decent money.
Here's what happened. This is a cool story. So I think this part is cool to mention. After the real estate market crash, I was expecting 6 escrows to close. Only one of the 6 closed. I was expecting like $50,000. Maybe 60,000. Only one closed, and most of the money was accounted for. More than what that money was coming from that one deal was accounted for. So I'm broke, and I remember thinking, once this deal closes, I'm out of here. So many realtors left. So many real estate a lot of realtors during that time committed suicide, bro. It was bad. It was really bad situation. These real estate offices were a ghost town. So I remember thinking, man, if there was such a thing as credit repair, mind you, this is December 2007. If there was such a thing as credit repair, I would crush it, as a job to make some money right now. So I was looking at a classified, and in the city of Downey, California, which I didn't live in Downey yet, but I lived in Southgate right next door, there was a credit repair company. And they advertised a lot. So I went to visit them. I called them first. They said, yeah, we're not hiring. I'm like, well, I'm looking for a commission-based position. I'm a realtor. I'm going out of real estate, and I can get you customers. I got past clients. The guy tells me over the phone abruptly, we're not hiring. And I'm like, what the hell? So I showed up to his office the very next morning at 8 a.m., bro. I saw what time they opened. I showed up at 8 a.m. And I said, hey, yes, I have an appointment with George Hernandez. Shout out to him as well. So the lady said, oh, you have an appointment with him? She was surprised. Oh, you have an appointment with him? I said, yes. He comes by and he goes, hi. He doesn't know what I look like. He just talked to me over the phone. So I said, hey, how you doing, George? You and I spoke yesterday. Remember I told you my name's JC? I'm a realtor, and we talked about me working for your company as a sales rep. He says, hey, guy, didn't I? He goes like this, hey, guy, didn't I tell you yesterday that we're not hiring? I said, I understand that you're not hiring, but, and he had people like in cubicles taking phone calls because they used to advertise on the radio and on magazines, right? They used to get radio spots and advertising. The phones were ringing like crazy. So many calls that they would take names and numbers down and say, we'll call you back, right? Take names and numbers out and call them back, right? So I said, I understand that you said that to me, but listen, I just need 5 minutes of your time. You see all these people here, do they take leads? He goes, yes. I said, I will outsell every single one of them. You don't have to give me any leads. I will generate my own leads. You give me some contracts and you give me some business cards and a little bit of training. I will leave this office and I won't come back until I have signed contracts and money in hand. Give me 5 minutes. The guy says, come to the back office. So I go to the back office and we're in his office and he's got like a little water fountain. And he says, I said, listen, you tell me to sell, go sell that outside right now. I'll go sell that outside. I'm the best salesperson you've ever seen. I'm not asking for a salary. I'm not asking for an hourly. Listen, man, I just want to make some money, bro. And I come from real estate. I got people that need what you've got. If you could fix credit, I could sell it. They used to charge $150 to $350 per item. So the average customer was paying $2,000 for credit repair. So reluctantly, he agreed. 2-3 weeks later, I become the #1 salesperson in that office. I don't take any leads. I leave. I'm visiting offices all day. All day I'm visiting offices, dropping off information, talking to the manager, real estate offices, mortgage offices, and I start making, $5,000 a month, $6,000 a month, just selling, and I outsell everybody in the office. So he and I have been friends ever since. But then around that time, I was like, I need to get into network marketing again. So I found a company called FES. They're now known as UWE. They're still around. They sold credit repair. So I got in there and I blew it up, bro. I started recruiting a bunch of realtors, right? And they had a field training program. So I started closing deals, bro, and building, and my overhead started getting bigger and whatnot. So, but there was no residual income. It was just sales and passive income. And the commissions weren't huge. They were $500 sales. So you could only make so much money on a $500 sale. So eventually I got into Vima, a company very similar to Monavi, and we did pretty good there. My upline in that company at a convention, let's just put it like this, he started hooking up with some of the girls in my downline. So you imagine that, bro. So my upline and I, so this guy was a couple levels up. My upline, I said, man, F this guy, bro. We can't trust this guy. What kind of shit is that, right? So we left and we joined a company called Secret, which you were a part of Secret. But we left, we didn't want to leave Vima, bro. We left Vima because we couldn't trust the upline. We had no choice. So we joined Secret, and we were the #2 earners in Secret. The only guy that beat us was the master distributor, Tim Herr. Shout out to Tim Herr. He's a good friend of mine. So we blew that thing up, but we only went to Secret, bro. I never lied. It was never my cup of tea, bro. Selling skincare as a man, it's not my cup of tea. Nothing wrong with men that sell skincare. It's just putting mud on half of your face, bro, right? And taking it off. That's not what I do. I would only do it when I had women on my team. They would do it, and I would just do the presentation. It wasn't good.
I was just gonna say that would be like you putting on women's lingerie.
Exactly, bro. Like busting an Oscar de la Hoya, bro. Right? So.
Man.
Shots fired. I'm a fan of Oscar, man. That's in his past. But anyway, so my point is, I see how good Organo Gold is doing, and I didn't even drink coffee back then, bro. But I saw Holton Buck say something that made a lot of sense. That line stuck to me ever since. He says, somebody told me that they don't drink coffee. And I said to them, that's okay. The owner of Purina Dog Chow makes millions of dollars, and he doesn't eat dog food either. I said, damn, that's a good line. Then I saw a video by Jose Ardon. Really famous video with thousands of views. He's just sitting down in his chair, kind of like this. And you know how he talks? He kind of talks like this. He's got like this very calm style. By the way, I'm a big fan of Jose. We're friends. So Jose's talking about how, listen, coffee is affordable. Coffee is an addiction. Most people drink coffee and they're addicted to it. This coffee is healthy and it pays you. And I looked at the price of their coffee auto ships and the product compared to the juice companies and the skincare companies. And I'm like, these skincare companies and these juice companies, that's an expensive product. And guess what? That product, that's a product that it's it's a want, not a need. It's not an addiction. And the first thing people are going to cancel are those overpriced auto ships. So I said, coffee makes a lot of sense. So I told my partner, I was partners with somebody in secret. And by the time when I was leaving, we had 21 recruits. 20 were mine. One was his. But yet he was the one taking all the credit, speaking out, never gave me any stage time, never let me present or train, even though I built 95% of our business. And so I had a chip on my shoulder. Plus, it wasn't my cup of tea. So I said, I'll tell you what, man, I'm going to leave, bro. He didn't want to leave because he had a comfortable check. I said, why don't we do a deal? We split the secret check 50-50, and we split the I didn't go to Organogo. I went to a company called Serenergy. We'll split that check 50-50. He says, sure. So I leave, and our check at Secret was bigger than the check at Serenergy after like 6 months. So I run into him at a suit store. We used to buy suits at this certain store. And I say to him, hey, tell you what do you think if you keep the secret check 100% and I keep the Serenergy check 100% and we just part ways? He says, are you sure you want to do that? I say, yeah. He says, if you're sure, we'll put it in writing. We'll cut ties right now. I said, I'm sure about it. Okay, cool. He was like very kind of almost cocky. But I remember thinking, that guy's business is going down. I already know it. Not only that, I'm about to blow up. So that was the first company I blew up. That was the first company I made multiple six figures in, Serenergy. My buddy Jay Nolan, shout out. That's my mentor. That guy's like a brother to me. He's who I grew with the most. He's a guy who recruited Holton Bugs into Organo Gold. Him, Bernie Chua, and Shane Moran started Organo Gold, and he recruited Holton Bugs into Organo Gold. So he was my mentor for like 3 years. Eventually, that company, he had a partner. That partner passed away. The wife of the partner cut all of the lines of credit. So all of a sudden, we have access to the product coming in from other countries. It was just a shit show, bro. If not, I think that company would have probably still been around today. And I was a #1 earner in that company. I got promoted to master distributor. And so anyways, that was a company where I had my biggest breakthrough. I got my $250,000 ring like the second year. My team was doing $900,000 per month in volume, in a monthly volume. And we were breaking out. My goal was to get to 100 grand a month in 9 months because Jose Arton had done it in 13. So the video's still on YouTube where I said, I will get to 100 grand a month in 9 months. And I didn't. It took me 18 months and I made 84,000 bucks in 1 month, right? So I did not hit the goal, but 84,000 bucks on month 18 is not too bad.
Let me ask you this. This is important. I think a lot of people sometimes, including myself, right? I like to think I'm super mentally tough, but I remember when I first got started, I had those demons in my brain saying, you know what are you doing this for? You're going on these appointments. Obviously I was in Primerica. That was my first direct sales company, right? And they're basically a network marketing company doing financial services. Man, I remember how many times I say to myself, you know what, let me just stay being a detective. It's a steady paycheck, dealing with the rejection and people not showing up. And that little, my brain, man, it was like, I'm going to throw in the towel, right? I'd love to hear what kept you from quitting, right? Because that's something that most people go through. If most people are honest, right? They may have forgotten, but most people, you get that little demon in your head that says, it ain't worth it, man. You're wasting your time. You're spinning your wheels, and it's not going to happen for you. So what about you, right? A superstar in the industry, right? One of the top earners of all time in the industry. What kept you from quitting?
Listen, as much as I don't want to be cliche, I will and I won't. I had a strong why for sure. My why was always to retire my mom before I turned 30. And I did that, by the way. I did that. I retired my mom by the age of 29, made my first million by 30. But let me tell you what one of the biggest motivating factors for me was. It was a chip on the shoulder. For me, it was a chip on the shoulder. A couple things. 2 people that come to mind. My ex-partner at the time, I was like, I'm going to kick his ass. He would say things that, the reason why JC, people would come to me and tell me, yeah, he would say that the reason why you guys in Secret were doing so good is because of him. And I was like, I recruited the majority of the people there, and he never let me speak. I remember one time somebody let him borrow a Bentley, bro. It wasn't even his. Somebody let him borrow a Bentley, and we were going to a home meeting, and my brother was with me. And I said, hey, man, can we roll with you so we could show up in the Bentley? It wasn't even our Bentley. It wasn't his. It wasn't mine.
Right.
So can we roll with you? We live in the same city. We'll go to your house. We'll go to the meeting together. It was our downlines meeting. He says, oh, bro, listen, no, man, it's better that I show up alone. You're taking your brother. I don't want to put nobody in the back seat. I don't want to mess up the back seat. It's like, what? So then I show up to the meeting. He shows up and he pretends like it's his car and stuff. And he acts like, bro, it was. And I remember thinking, dog, like, that's not the kind of person I am. Like, that rubbed me the wrong way, right? So when I left and people didn't think I was going to surpass him, I said, not only am I going to surpass him, I'm going to smoke him. I'm going to smoke him. That's one. Number two, my stepdad would always tell me that eres un bueno para nada. You're good for nothing. Eres un mantenido. You're a freeloader. And I said, that guy, there's no way I'm going to end up average. Fuck that. I'm gonna prove to him. Now, we're cool now. The third person, I had a girlfriend one time. I was so broke, 2000, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, right around there. I was so broke that the only thing I could afford was to get her. It was $167. I'll never forget. I went to Macy's and I bought her for her birthday a little bag. It was, I think it's called a clutch. It was a Coach clutch. Like I guess it's a purse that goes inside of a purse, right? All I could afford was $167. That was a lot of money for me. I gave this to her for either her birthday or for Christmas. I don't remember. And I remember she looked at it, bro. And I bought it with a lot of sacrifice. I probably borrowed money to buy this shit. She looked at it and said, oh, thanks. And then I was like, I thought you liked Coach. Why are you not more excited, right? She goes, oh, it's because I don't have a bag to go with it. Apparently, you should have a bag to go with it that's the same brand or same design, right? And I remember thinking, you ungrateful, you know what? So I broke up with her, right? And I remember thinking, I'm going to disappear. Her or her friends are not going to see me until I don't give a shit, bro. I'm not going to come around this group of friends. I'm not going to go, mind you, I'm in my mid-20s. I'm not going to go around her or her friends until I come up. That was a chip on my shoulder. I said, man, next time she sees me, I'm going to be a different guy. Like 3 years later, bro, I resurfaced. This time I'm a 6-figure earner with, like, at the time, I probably had 9,000, 10,000 people in my downline. I had a black Mercedes SL 500, hardtop convertible, red interior. And I show up and everybody's like, where the hell you been? And I was broke. I had a $2,500 Honda Civic back then, which she remembers me with, that was not registered to the DMV, bro. I was driving it illegally on a suspended license. 3 years later, I'm the #1 guy in the company. So to me, bro, it was a chip on the shoulder. I said, they're going to rule the day. She's going to rule the day. He's going to rule the day. He's going to rule the day that they said those things about me. To me, it was a chip on the shoulder, bro.
I hope everybody takes a page out of what you just said, because you know what? I was listening to Patrick Bet-David recently, right? And he wrote a book, and I haven't read it yet, but in there he talks about identifying your enemies, right? And not talking about an enemy that you want to hurt, you want to kill. No.
Right.
But the emotion, right, of someone that puts you down, someone that makes you feel like shit, someone that's ungrateful, right? Process that in an emotional state and live it and visualize it, right? A lot of times, man, that's a bigger motivator than going on that vacation or, you know, buying the Mercedes, right? And, you know, I want to talk about you, but I'll just relate. What got me to be successful and not quit was imagining all the cops that told me I was in an insurance pyramid scam. You're going to get locked up. You're crazy. And one of them even sent it's called a referral, like a criminal referral. He referred me to internal affairs behind my back. So I had internal affairs ready to lock me up. Oh, yeah. It was, I'll talk about that another day. But yeah, so dude, I wouldn't quit. I was like, F you guys, right? Some way, somehow I'm going to make it, because I just couldn't face them, right? And I did something similar. You know, it was like about 8, 9 months later, I show up with a white 740 BMW, the long version, right in front of the precinct. You know, it was like, here you go, right?
Right. Cheers to that.
It is, man. Yeah, sometimes that's what it is. I'm glad to hear that, because that's what motivated me. And I think a lot of people, sometimes it's cool, right? You know, you want to buy the toy, you want to do something for your mom, for your kids. That's good, right? But you should have a couple things that just piss you off and you want to, right, do it for that reason, right? Because obviously, right, avoiding pain is much more powerful than gaining
Yeah.
pleasure.
Not only that, sometimes, they say there's a very famous quote, your ego is not your amigo. Sometimes it is. To
Right.
me, it was. To me, that's one thing that got me up in the morning. When I got nose, when I remember I used to drive from LA to San Diego, bro, that's a 2-hour drive with no traffic. So it's a 3-hour drive with traffic, even 3.5, 4 hours sometimes. I go out there to a PBR, private business reception. They're not there, bro. I'm even texting them on the way there. Hey man, I'm on my way, bro. If you're not gonna go through with this, let me know so I don't drive this long ass way. The coward wouldn't text me back, bro. You imagine that shit? At least text me back. Hey, bro, it's not gonna happen, man. Don't drive this way, and just ignore me after that. But not even that. And I show up, and I remember thinking, one day I'm gonna be telling these stories. One day I'm gonna be in front of a stage telling these stories. And you got a lot of time to think on the way back, right?
Yes.
Prominent. So on the way back, I remember thinking, one day I'm gonna tell my people. One day when they're going to rule the day, she's going to rule the day, he's going to rule the day, he's going to rule the day that they said those things about me. To me, it was a chip on the shoulder, bro. One day I'm going to tell people, you're going to wish you had more negative days. The more negative days, the more relatable you're going to be. You're going to be telling people, I know what you're going through. Let me tell you about something that happened to me on my way to the top, on my way to this rank, my way to $1 million. You're going to be more relatable the more negative stories. So quit what you don't want. You want these stories because these stories are going to make you more relatable. Nobody wants to hear from a guy that said, hey, everybody I talked to said yes, and every person I try to sell bought. Nobody wants to hear from that guy. Everybody loves a comeback story. Right now, as we speak, they did the trailer, the Rocky stories coming out, like the Rocky story, the real Sylvester Stallone story of the movie Rocky, how he got offered $300,000 to not play the character. He said no, and I think he took $25,000 to play the character. That kind of shit motivates me, bro.
I know you talk about different companies you were in, right? Out of all the companies you were in, Secret, Serenity, how do you say it? Serenity, right? Yep. What was the largest organization that you built?
Serenity, I got a team up to 17,000 people. Then after Serenity, right, when the whole thing crashed, I went to a company called Wealth Generators, changed their name to Cuvera, changed their name to iGenius. Now they're known as Connective. That team grew to 120,000 people.
And for everybody out here listening, right, did you personally recruit 120,000 people? How did you get 120,000 people? Could you tell everybody how you did it?
Listen, man, it's interesting. When you just put one foot in front of the other, things take care of themselves. All I know is this. In Serenity, Jay Nolan taught me, you go 20 left, 20 right, front line. You go 20 left, 20 right, front line in 90 days. Then you taproot through them. And of course, you never stop recruiting, but you go 20 left, 20 right, 20 personal, 40 personally sponsored people, right? If it's not a binary, you go 40 front line. It's the same thing, right? So 20 left, 20 right is 40 front line. So all I did is I did the same thing. I was always top 10 recruiter. I've been top 10 recruiter for 15 years. Top 10 recruiter because I knew and I wasn't emotionally attached to it. There's 3 rules to building. Number 1, prospecting is everything. You got to always be prospecting. Number 2, the fortune is in the proper and immediate follow-up. Number 3, work with the willing. So when I recruit all these people and I go fast, I recruit people fast, I work with the willing. I taproot, right? An old saying that is very true. I talked about it this morning on the Morning Momentum. It's ignorance on fire beats intelligence on ice. I would take a new person. Let me show you the basics to get some people in front of me. You're going to learn along the way. You put people in front of me. Let's do your launch event. We used to call them in the coffee business, coffee and jazz mixers. It was a home meeting, but we call it a coffee and jazz mixer. That's originated from Organo Gold. So we would do these home events, right? And we would just recruit. And then you never know, bro, like that company was in a bunch of countries. So we have people that met with other people. Now, one of the reasons why I also grew such a big team is because timing. This is so important to talk about also Experior right now, right? But timing. Yep. I was with a company called Wake Up Now before Experior, before Wealth Generators. I was only there, bro, because I needed something to do and I thought I could get to 10 grand a month real fast. And I was like, and I'll focus on other traditional businesses. But then I went to their convention, to their corporate office, and I saw the writing on the wall. I said, this company is not going to do good. I was talking to the owner, and some of the things that the owner told me, I didn't think the company was going to do good. Plus, there was a lot of rumors that they were not doing good financially. So my friend, Rick Roberry, the master distributor of wealth generators at the time, I met with him, and he showed me wealth generators. And I said, bro, when Wake Up Now falls, this is going to be the most obvious place they're going to come to because of the services and the comp plan. And I think they're going to fall. So I got started. My sponsor, I met with him, and it felt like a breakup. And I told him that I was leaving. And he was really bummed because he was my downline always. So he was super excited to have me in his downline. I said, I don't think the company's going to last, bro. But here's what I said to him. Two lines. Is power move time, and uplines will become downlines. If I'm right about this company, Wake Up Now, look at what's out there and look at wealth generators. This is the most obvious place they're going to come to. So all these leaders that are not in your downline right now, they're going to go in your downline, bro. Because you're going to be the first one here, and you're going to be the one that could get them in place with me and with the master distributor, and we could fly them into corporate. That's exactly what happened, bro. Wake Up Now went down. We had guys making $50,000 a month, $20,000 a month, $40,000 a month come over in our downline, bro. So we just we absorbed a lot of key leaders that brought in a bunch of people. So we started, and not only that, it didn't help that, it also helped that when I was with Wake Up Now, I broke the ranks fast. I went up. Then they didn't have any good speakers. So I did a Super Saturday. A bunch of these guys flew in because I broke records. They heard me speak. There was no dynamic speaker. So you know that I'm a pretty good speaker. So I rocked the crowd, bro. The top leaders were already there. So it was like perfect timing. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. A couple of things were perfect timing. So that's why I knew too. These guys have already been introduced to me. They don't really know who I am, but they saw me break records and they saw me speak. And so sure enough, we recruited a lot of people. And frankly, we brought some really key people, and we just ran the system, right? We were doing trainings every Monday in the evening. Every Monday, bro, at 7 o'clock, I think it was, we were doing training. Every Thursday, we were doing business overviews, and we were doing Super Saturdays every single Saturday. So I always focus on frontline recruiting, following the system, working with the willing. I never stopped recruiting. I never stopped being on the field, and I never stopped showing the plan.
It's funny that you say that, right? Going 40 wide, we had in Primerica, and it came from Hubert Humphrey. If anybody go online, get the book. It's called The Magic of Compound Recruiting. You know what he had? There's a chart in there. It's a chart. You ever seen it with circles? And he would do 60 days, 60 recruits personal in 60 days, bro. 60 and 60. And
wow.
it was, you open up the booklet, and on one side, it's like 30 circles. The right side was 30 circles, right? But it was six level, 10 across, right? And your goal was every day. It didn't have to be every day, but the goal was within 60 days, you got to get 60 front line. And dude, people don't understand how powerful that is, right? Yeah. Because it's a numbers game, and you're going to identify the people that right away, like you said, the willing. Hey, I got a launch party. Hey, I got this. I got a client, right? You right away see what's happening. But when you want to get, you want to get 2 or 3 people, and you try to coddle them, right, and help them succeed. Yeah, I learned from a mentor. He always said, "Don't try to motivate people. Find motivated people."
Let me address something that you said about recruiting, because I think that's important. We talk a lot about recruiting in this channel, on this podcast. When I met you was in the solar industry. So I was with that company until the solar industry, bro. So I started a traditional call center. Somebody bought the company. They were not doing that good. So this investor came in, bought the company, eventually took it over. So he looked, all the people that are inactive, we're going to cut your check. My check was cut. I started a student loan forgiveness call center and a credit repair company, but I was qualified per the comp plan. See, that's one of the things that kind of made me feel about network marketing. Like, I'm disappointed with this industry. If they could just cut your check like that, you could take them to court, but they got more money than you. It was terrible, bro. So I was like, that's when I got into the solar industry, right? I got into door-to-door sales, which I won't get into here today, in 2019. And then in 2020, I got into solar, right? So I told these guys in solar, because it was 6,000 people in that company. I'll mention the name of the company. I don't care. Power, right? I'm not saying anything negative about them. Matter of fact, I like them. I like the owner of the company. I like the people there. So I told them, the CEO did a training via Zoom. And mind you, this is after COVID. So he does a training, fires everybody up. And I write on one of the groups that had like 5,000 or 6,000 people in the group. I write, by this time next year, I will outsell everybody in this company. Now, the reason why I was going to outsell everybody was because I was going to out recruit everybody and out team build everybody. So people started commenting, who do you think you are, rookie? You won't survive the solar coaster. Because I was kind of done with network marketing. I wanted high ticket sales, but it had a 6-level unit level. Okay.
Remember,
So I wrote to them, you don't understand. You guys are sales guys. You guys are door knocking. You guys are selling in the cold market. I'm a builder. You don't know, but you're going to find out real soon. I'm going to take a screen. I remember the guy's name, Noah Falk. I don't mind mentioning his name. I said, you're going to eat your words for talking like that to me. You have no idea who I am. You'll see. Sure enough, bro, a year later, I'm on stage, right? Getting recognized for 2 things. Number 1 recruiter, number 1 closer. So when I'm on stage, I already go up for number 1 recruiter. Then I go up on stage for number 1 closer. I close 116 solar deals. Average solar deal is $50,000. I close 116 of them. So people are like, whoa, he made a ton of money and he closed 116 deals. So whatever the math is, 50,000 times 116, that's a lot of sales volume, right? Off my own efforts, not including what my team did. So then I said, you guys need to stop asking the question of how I close so many sales and start asking yourself why I close so many sales. I'm the number 1 closer out of 6,000 reps. I'm 1 year in this industry. I'm a rookie still. I am the number 1 closer because I'm the number 1 recruiter. The number 1 closer wouldn't have happened had I not been the number 1 recruiter. I recruited more people than you guys. I did more recruiting presentations. I'm selling in the war market. Out of 116 deals, I think I went into 2 or 3 homes. The rest were done via Zoom. So people are blown. I said, because I'm a team builder. I'm a network marketer. So I broke every record in solar. My team and I did 2,100 installs in 3 years. We started during COVID. I started 2 weeks after the worldwide shutdown, late March 2020. During COVID, I started with a bunch of people with no experience in solar, and we smoked the entire industry. And till this day, that company, nobody's even come close to half of the records that we broke there, right? Our team was top 10 almost in everything, bro. In sales and recruiting, because we were team builders compared to a bunch of salespeople. So anyways, that was my solar run. And after that, I started my own company. As you know, you were a part of that company build. And, in 5 years, we did like 10,000 solar installs, with no experience, in those first years.
By the way, I was there to witness all of these, numbers, right? Because when I got into power, you were already on stage crushing it, and then my business partner Julio says, you know what, let's get involved in solar. That's how we met. We have a great relationship. Let me ask you this: what's different with network marketing from how it used to be, right? Maybe, a decade, 2 decades ago till today.
A lot, bro. Think of 2 decades ago. That's when I started 2 decades ago. What were people's options to make extra money? Work more hours, right? Get a second job, start a traditional business, or join a network marketing company. I mean, outside of that, really, there wasn't that many options. Now let's look at the options today. You could drive for Uber. You could become an influencer. You could deliver food. You could do affiliate programs. You could start an Amazon store. You could start an Etsy store. The list goes on and on and on. I just did a video on this, right? Why so many MLM leaders are coming over to financial services. That's also why you see, not only that, the industry is competing against influencers. They're competing against TikTok Shop. They're competing against Amazon. It isn't what it used to be. When I started in network marketing, I thought that was the only internet company, 2x2.net. I thought that was the only company in the world. Now, everybody's business is out there. Now, people weren't scrolling 6 hours a day back then. So you're also competing against people's attention span and everything on their phone. That's why you see 10-year-old companies, 15, 20, 30-year-old companies folding, going bankrupt, going out of business, merging, or turning into affiliates. Nowadays, you see, and when they turn into affiliates? They turn into affiliates on a Friday evening, or they shut down on a Friday afternoon, and they don't even tell you anything. They just send you an email, and they say, hey, man, I'm sorry, here's what's happening, and it's on a Friday afternoon. You can't even get a hold of them. It's brutal. People that were building, look at Modere. Modere was around for like 20 years or something. People have $50,000, $100,000 checks in one email. Everything they worked for 5, 10, 20 years, gone. So That's happening now more than ever before. My daily choice was in business for so long. Saint, Rolling Fields.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
so many companies, bro, went out of business. So I feel that it isn't what it used to be. Now, there's a couple of good companies out there. Don't get me wrong, right? Like, I will mention the companies, but there's a couple of good companies, but it isn't what it used to be. That, Amway's going to still be Amway. I don't think Amway's going anywhere. Herbalife is probably not going anywhere. Would I go and build that? That's not my cup of tea. I think Legal Shield is a pretty good option. Would I go there? It's not my cup of tea, but I got a lot of friends there. But the exciting companies, and there's a bunch of Me Too companies, bro. Think about it. There's travel, there's trading, there's products, and every product has, their unique things. And don't get me wrong, I know some of those product companies are good. They got good products, but most of them have overpriced products. My buddy Alex Reynoso, he's got a great company, Vita Health. I think they're doing great because they make their products in Mexico. They own the facility, they own everything. That's one of those companies. Like, if I were to do a product MLM, that's where I would go, to be perfectly honest, right? And it's not because he's my friend. It's because when you're making the products in Mexico versus the US, and you own the facility and you own everything, you are significantly more solid, right? You got control over it. And so anyways, with that being said, it's just not the same. That's why personally, after 25 years, I say, you know what? I'm done, man. I look at my friends, bro, in network marketing, and I look at my friends in financial services, guys that are sharp, motivated, dedicated, serious, skilled, disciplined in both. The financial services guys are beating these guys in net worth and income times 10. Sure. I got a friend that's been in this company for 28 years in network marketing, makes $2.4 million a year. It's great income after nearly 30 years. I got a friend in our company that in 23 months is at 2.4 million a year. It's not the same. It's not even in the same world. In network marketing, when it took 2,000 people, you could accomplish with 20 people here. You could recruit through ads and sell through leads. I'm talking about the financial services industry, right? Yep. Life insurance, financial services, retirement planning. It's a real career. And the last point on that I'll mention, bro, is the reason why I made the switch is those reasons, but also I would go to networking events, BNI, Chamber of Commerce, top earner, recognized on stage by thousands of people. I would go to a networking event, BNI event. What do? When they would find out I was a network marketer, they would almost look down on me. They would look me down their nose, bro. Oh, they treat you like, oh, you're one of those little MLMers. Okay, got it, huh? They don't look at you as a fellow professional. So the fact that I've got professional, and very often they would do that, and it was people that I made twice as much, 3 times as much as them, but they don't look at network marketers like fellow professionals, bro. They just don't. That's just a reality of how life is, bro. You know what I mean? They look at nothing wrong with, a plumber, but a plumber or a realtor are way bigger professionals than an MLMer. And so I was, I'm just very fulfilled. So anyways, those are the differences that I see between today. It's not what it used to be, bro.
Just to piggyback on that, sometimes people don't realize why they look down. They shouldn't, right? You should never look down on anybody.
No, definitely not.
The reason it's so easy to get on board with any network marketing company, right? You pay a little fee and you do have an auto ship, right? So because it's so easy, so many people fail, right? You have literally millions of people worldwide that fail. And then everybody else looks at it and says, you know what? MLM doesn't work. Okay. Right. It does work, right? And that's, that's the big reason. Here, we've got the best of both worlds. We got high ticket and we have the ability to build. Whether you want to call us network marketing or not, it's just another name, right? Team building, multi-level marketing, network marketing, direct sales. It's the same shit. I hire you. I pour time into you. I train you and develop you, right? When you're successful, I'm successful. I don't care if it's skincare. I don't care if it's coffee. I don't care if it's financial services. But here, the product is a lot more impactful. You have the license. People go, I heard that the other day. Oh, yeah, we got to get a license. That's a filter. Yes. Right? Test is not hard. It's multiple choice or multiple guests. Take it 2 or 3 times. You're going to memorize the test. So my mentor used to take it enough times, you're going to memorize the test, right? But that's a little filter. I mean, it's a professional license, right? And you get to team build. You get to override, right? And you can sleep at night. Because one thing I can tell you is Primerica never missed a check, man. Never. Those checks were there like clockwork, So, yeah, the industry has changed. And, I love my run now. People ask me, last week somebody said to me, why are you getting back in the industry? I said, the reason is already got financially independent. Not enough people got there with me. Just not enough, right? Not enough people,
Yes.
six-figure earners and all that. And here we have the ability to do it. So just to kind of wrap up, for you, right? You talk a lot about lately, you've been talking a lot about booms in network marketing, right? Okay, this is the next boom in network marketing. So before we wrap up, elaborate on that for everybody. What does JC mean when you're talking about the next boom?
Yes. So look, part of the reason why I would like to think that the reason why I've made great money and I've had great success is because I'm very good or I'm very skilled. And yes, I have skills and I'm pretty good. But the T in timing, I learned in Legal Shield, the T in timing is significantly more important than the T in talent. So if you catch the booms at the right time, for example, if you got started in real estate in 2003, 2004 versus 2007, you would have done way better. If you started in 2003 and you rode a 4-year boom from 2003 to 2007, even if you weren't as good as me, and I started in 2007 to 2011, you would have made more money, bro. Because of the timing of when you got started in that industry, real estate was booming during that time. Just like stock market booms for time, depends when you get in, right? So I'll give you an example of a couple of booms that happened. In 2000, the internet boom. There were companies that were selling internet services, internet malls, and internet service itself, ISP. Those 2x2.net. 2x2.net had people making 19-year-olds making 200 grand a month in the year 2001, bro. That's the first company I joined. I went to a meeting, my first meeting, bro, Pasadena, California. It looked like a meeting from Boiler Room. That's when Boiler Room had came out, bro. Boiler Room, I think, came out in 99. I showed up to this meeting, bro, and they had told me to watch Boiler Room. I show up, it felt like Boiler Room. Bro, I would see Ferraris and Lamborghinis and Corvettes and Vipers outside, Porsches. Back then, the Plymouth Prowler was a very exotic car. In the driveway, right in the front of the lobby, bro, they let them park. And it was nothing but 19, 20, 21-year-olds driving these cars, bro. I was like, what? There was 500 or 600 people on a Tuesday evening at this beautiful hotel, and they were presenting and people were joining like crazy, bro. That because part of the reason they rode a boom. The next boom came shortly after, the juice boom. The juice companies like Monavie, Noni was the first one. Noni, Zango, Monavie. They said all these product companies, Shackley and all these other companies, traditional old school companies are selling you vitamins and pills. You only absorb 14% or whatever the number is of that vitamin. Juices are 90% absorbent. You just drink it. It's easier. You just take it and you're good. So people bought into that boom. Then eventually that, it's expensive. But the boom, the stories, juice companies boomed. Noni boomed. Zango boomed. Monavie boomed like crazy. Because Monavie boomed like crazy because the other companies were unilevels. This one was a binary. The binary was fairly new back then.
Yep,
the next boom, the coffee boom. That's when Jay Nolan started Organo Gold. Holton Boggs, Jay Nolan, Shane Moran, all those guys came together. They said, hey, listen, those juices and those coffees are an extra expense and they're hell of expensive. This is 50 cents a cup for a healthy coffee. 4 questions. What's your favorite coffee? How do you drink it? Does your favorite coffee brand pay you for drinking this coffee? And I forgot what the other one is. Ours will pay you for referring other people. And it was inexpensive. People said, bro, I could afford this. I'm already spending money on this. It's an addiction. The coffee boom, Holton hit $1 million per month. Jose Ardon hit $400,000 per month. So I wrote the coffee boom. I experienced a coffee boom. I joined the internet boom, but I was early. The company failed in 6 months, but I saw it. But I experienced the coffee boom. After that, trading services came out. Wealth Generators was the first one, but IML took it to another level. That was, hey, these trading services, you can make money without selling, without recruiting. There's videos of the internet of me still pitching that. You copy the trades of experts, you get the results the experts get. And all you do is you copy them. You don't have to sell, you don't have to recruit to make money with this business. That team for me grew to 120,000 people. That was a boom. I rode the solar boom. I made a lot of money. I have people I never made money in MLM make $250,000, $300,000 a year. People like my buddy Anthony Bonilla. He never made in network market a lot of money. He made $250,000 his first full year. and a bunch of stories like that, right? Solar was a boom. Let me tell you what the next boom is, bro. I've been pretty damn good at predicting these booms. I'm gonna tell you what the next boom is. The next boom is this: financial services. Right now, there's an exodus from network marketing people leaving to financial services. Network marketing leaders, 7-figure earners, 8-figure earners, bro. People, the biggest network marketers you've ever heard of in the last 15, 20 years are joining this industry right now. It is in it. Why? Number one, they're realizing a team of 20 can make me more than a team of 2,000. Number two, you can make 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, or 7 figures on your own pin. Number three, you could sell through leads and you could recruit through ads. So you could recruit a lot easier, and you need 1/10 of the people that you did in network marketing. You could sell through leads. There's people making 6 figures a month just selling, bro, from the comfort of their home, right? So when these guys, so that's why I'm in this industry, bro. That's why in 71 days, I got 100 licensed agents, almost 300 total people. 100 of them are licensed agents. And we got people making incredible money. It's a true profession that makes a real difference. You own your business. Unlike in network marketing, you don't own your downline. Here, you own your agency, which is your downline. You own your book of business, your customers' residuals for the rest of their life. Network marketers just haven't heard of this. That's why they're not here yet. So I would highly encourage anybody watching this, take a serious look at what we've got, because this, mark my words, this is the next boom in direct sales and team building.
Yep. Because, and I'll just add a couple things to that as we wrap up. No investment here to get started, right? It's your license, it's your own credential, it's your own professional license, right? You keep forever. People go, yeah, but there's no auto ship. Listen, we got high ticket sales. High ticket, right? 3, 4, 5,000 per sale. And Jay, I don't know about this, but renewals kind of smell like auto ship, don't they? Right? They got the smell of auto ship, because guess what? They're going to pay that policy, right? 20, 30, 40 years. You get what I'm saying? The stickiness, right? That's why I always tell people, we used to always tell people in Primerica, drive into any city that you've never been before, look up insurance companies and banks. Always the skyscrapers, right? There's a reason for that. Why is Warren Buffett fully in insurance, right? It's because of that. Insurance is a predictable income ROI, right? For the company, same thing for us. So yeah, no, I agree with you, right? I'm in shock how many people from the network marketing industry have been reaching out to me, reaching out to you, to our leaders, and they're like, we got to talk. Because he could do both. You can team build, you could override, you could help people succeed, but you get a much bigger override and you own it. And the best thing is you don't have sleepless nights that they're going to cut your check on a Friday night, right? That bullshit is over. So, man, listen, that was powerful, brother. Today I got to learn more about your story, and I love the. I hope everybody remembers, right? What you said about doing it for those 3 reasons, which were I'm calling it the enemy. That's what Patrick Bet-David says, right? You got to have an enemy, and you did it for that reason. That was priceless. Okay, for this, that was priceless. Yeah, because I could relate, and I'm telling you right now, there are thousands of people out there that will see this over time, and they can relate. Okay, so my brother, thank you so much. Another great episode. You're the best, brother. Enjoy your weekend, all right? Enjoy your cocktail, and we'll see you at the next Ownership Empire podcast. Take care.
Thank you, my brother. Have a good one.